Unschooling, a different way of learning. Tomorrow at 10. Unschooling, a method of learning where parents let their children lead the way.
By the time she was 3 years old, she was already reading books, all on her own.
How this non-formal education works and what it means for the unschoolers' future. Tomorrow at 10. This is KGUN9 on your side at 10.
Kids skip out on school. They're truant. Little criminals, right? Well, not so fast. There are some kids who never step foot in a school, and they don't follow homeschooling guidelines either. How is this legal, and what's with unschooling? Not on your side wants to know. Teachers say they're underpaid. Parents say classrooms are overcrowded. And kids often say they just don't like school. None of that is a factor for unschoolers. How did you get to the point where you said, we're going to unschool our kids?
Yes, that's a good question. It all came about because of Zoe, actually.
So here it is on the NASA website.
The Bentley family is letting their children decide how, what, and when they learn. Not homeschooling, unschooling, as in none at all.
When Zoe was first born, she was just a very brilliant infant, and I know most people think that about their babies, but by the time she was a year, we'd written down all the words that she could say, and it was like 104 words. By the time she was 3 years old, she was already reading books, all on her own.
This one is a meteorite.
Lisa believed Zoe was beyond traditional schooling.
So rather than purchase a curriculum for a few $1,000s, we kept doing what we were already doing, which was to follow her lead and pursue her passions and to allow her to do what she wanted to do.
These shells I found at my last trip to California.
Zoe is now 13. She can tell you anything you want to know about rocks, even has a website about them.
You don't have a teacher that's explaining to you how to make a website. How do you learn to do this?
Well, my parents helped me to figure out how the website editing worked, and I made the background myself actually, and the banner here.
She's a blogger for NASA and already aced a class at Pima Community College. No formal education, no curriculum, no homework, no tests. Her 9-year-old sister Teagan is also a whiz on the web and loves ballet. Mom and Dad installed a bar in her room to encourage her development, but right now Teagan is perfecting this. Solving the Rubik's Cube while hula hooping. You guys are radical unschoolers. Yes. What does that mean?
We take unschooling one step further in that we apply it to all areas of our life. So rather than just their education. We don't have a strict bedtime schedule. We don't have a strict eating schedule, but our children, they listen to their bodies, and we give them information based off of what we see. We help them come to their own conclusions, so that by the time they're adults, although my kids are already there, they are doing things not because they were told to do them, but because it's the right thing to do them. We live by principles rather than rules.
So how is this legal? Well, that's what we wanted to know. It turns out parents just have to submit an affidavit to their school superintendent's office. In Pima County, unschoolers follow the same rules as homeschoolers, although the county admits it doesn't monitor what happens once it processes the paperwork. And what about college? How do unschoolers get in? Well, they have to provide a portfolio of their work, plus provide SAT or ACT scores. Sam Gubernick was an unschooler, and he's now a senior at the U of A. You spent your entire childhood out of school. You never had to pass a test. You never had to graduate grade levels. So when it came time for you to decide you wanted to go to college, how did you even get into college?
Pretty much everything I needed to know I'd already picked up on my own, or however I was learning it. And going into college was pretty easy, actually. I mean, I found out that high school is not as necessary as it always sounds.
Pretty interesting, huh? The Bentley family says the biggest drawback to unschooling for them is that there aren't many resources for the kids, especially fiction books. It's why Lisa began writing fiction books tailored to that group. I also asked Dad, Greg, how he would respond to the critics. He said, you know, it works for us. It may not work for everybody, but our kids learn all they need to know, and it's a great joy to have them around. Speaking of critics, the biggest, State Superintendent Tom Horn, who does not support unschooling. Stay with us. We've got weather coming up.